guys, it's Rachel and welcome back to the video. Today I am doing the one line art challenge. I know that this was like a trend like a year ago or something, but I recently saw it again on YouTube and I was like, that looks kind of fun. I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. I first saw this on Vex's channel and he did this and it gave me inspiration, so I'm gonna also try to do it. So if you guys don't know what the one line art challenge is, basically I get 30 minutes to make any kind of drawing that I want, but the catch is I don't get to pick up the pen or pencil that I'm using at all throughout the entire drawing. Let's get started, I guess. I got my reference over here. Once I put the pencil down, there's no going back. Okay. God. We just gotta send it, I think. The timer's already going. All right. This might be more experimental. All right. God. Here we go. So I've actually done this challenge before, but not necessarily on purpose. Usually I'll just go in my sketchbook and I just won't pick up the pencil just because I think it's fun to challenge myself like this, and I think it's a lot of fun to mess around with how you do portraiture especially. So sometimes I'll just not pick up the pencil and it kind of adds this cool look to it that you don't get otherwise. But also when I was working in my sketchbook, I was working on a lot smaller of a surface, so it was a little bit easier, and we're working on a source that's about double the size of what I'm used to, so it's definitely more a challenge than it was in my sketchbook. We're taking out the hat. Now I tried to start with the right side because I used my brain and realized that I'm left-handed, so hopefully we go from right to left for the most part so I can actually see what's under my hand. So I decided to do a portrait over a cartoon because I thought that the portrait would take longer than it would like one of my normal cartoons that you guys have seen, so I thought it would be a little bit more interesting and just be more of a challenge in general if I did a portraiture. Also, I think that this art style of like not picking up the pencil at all that like complements portraits a lot better than it does a cartoon, because my square head art style is very much about like having like clean lines. It's more so based on like color and shading and stuff like that, but I think portraiture gives you a lot of room for exploration and experimenting with your style, your shading, your line work, all of that kind of stuff. So that's why I decided to do portraits. I can tell this is gonna be bad. It's gonna be more experimental, okay? It's fine. I realize since I don't get to pick up my pencil, I also don't get to erase. So, very fun. This kind of looks like crap. That's a big ear. This looks so bad. You know, I just keep holding out for when it's gonna like look good. I don't know if we're ever gonna get there. Hopefully the hair will fix it, you know? If you ever just a bad drawing, just give it some good hair. Fixes all your issues. See, I told you. Now that we're adding in the hair, it's like starting to look like half decent. Half decent. Not a full decent, a half decent. Another thing that I was deciding between was whether I wanted to use a pencil or a pen, because they both have their advantages and disadvantages when it comes to this challenge. I decided to go with pencil because I wanted to get those extra tones that you don't necessarily get with a pen. You can still kind of get those shading tones just by building up areas with closer lines together and still get those darker tones, but with pencil it's a lot easier to do that because, again, like the softer you press you get like a lighter line, and the harder you press you get a darker line, of course. So you'll be able to see towards the end, but I was able to get these really dark outlines that I needed in order to add contrast to the image, because it desperately needed some contrast because of how grayscale the entire thing is, and I don't know if I would have been able to achieve that quite as well with a pen. One thing that I think the pen really has over the pencil is the ability to distinguish lines, because as you create artwork with a pencil, especially in this way, your pencil lines start to kind of merge together and just become like this flat, blurred image, especially after you've rubbed your hand all over it several times. But I think that the pen's really good at like you'll be able to see where the lines are exactly. They don't like bleed at all. Plus, I think you can get really creative with how you draw your lines, whether you make your lines like kind of circular or you have line weight to them, which are things that you don't necessarily get with pencil just because of how blurred they can get. So now that I have all of my line work pretty much done and like the whole image is like outlined, then I'm gonna go back and try to fix some of my mistakes. I might just make it worse, but I guess we'll find out. Another thing that I thought about when I was making this was the addition of color if you wanted to try doing like a colored version in this challenge, but I realized how difficult that would be, especially with marker. Marker is a very like flat tone kind of thing, and it's very much so needs like many colors in order to make it look good, else you get a lot of flat images. And it's not one of those things where the harder you push, the darker the color you get, or the more you build up onto it, the darker color you get. That's not really how markers work. So I don't necessarily know if you could do this challenge successfully with markers, but I think you could probably do it with colored pencils. Maybe you chose like a red or something. And as you guys know, colored pencils work where the lighter you push, the lighter color you get, and the harder you push, the darker color you're going to get, or more vibrant of a color you're going to get. It's the same as a pencil, basically. So I think if I were to try this again in my sketchbook or something and I wanted to do a colored version, I would definitely go with colored pencils. So I was kind of talking about this before with the whole contrast in the image, and when I was starting to get towards the end of my 30 minutes, I had about this 5 minutes of time where I was kind of done with the image, but there was something that was not quite right. I didn't think it had enough contrast into it. So what I ended up doing is adding this really thick, bold outline to the outside of the image, and this kind of draws away the portrait from the background since they're very similar tones, since everything's white, black, and gray. I added in this really thick outline, just kind of makes it pop more, adds in more contrast. And then I decided to make this sort of ombre fade background thing. Again, it's just another way to add more contrast, more for your eye to look at, more to add to the image. This is me adding a background because I have extra time. You know, at the beginning of this, I thought this was absolutely horrible. But as we've gone on, it's changed from being absolutely horrible to absolutely mediocre. Also, I wanted to quickly talk about my editing style, since I know that in my last video, and I kind of was doing it in this video too, I added in this alternate face cam where basically it's like a live face cam. So while I'm actually making the artwork, I like record on my phone just like my reactions and what's going on then. Let me know if you guys like want that face cam. I don't know. I was just kind of testing out different styles of editing and different ways of recording my footage, and I didn't know if it made the video more interesting or not, so just let me know in the comments. Also guys, if you didn't know, I've been live streaming about 2 days a week. I've usually been going for Tuesdays and Fridays around 2:00 p.m. CST. It changes like pretty much every time. But usually it's in the afternoon. And on these streams, I've been working on Heroic Set 2 art with you guys and answering questions and just chatting with you guys. It's been a great time. So if you guys ever want to join one of my live sessions and just like come talk with everyone and watch me work on some heroic art, be sure to do that. I always upload on my Instagram story when I'm going to be streaming. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, at Scribbles with Rachel, you guys will get live updates of when I am streaming. Otherwise, it's usually Tuesdays and Fridays. Alright, so to finish this off, as you guys kind of could tell in my alternate face cams, I wasn't super happy with how this artwork was turning out in the beginning. I got like the first eye done and like part of the nose, and I was like picking it apart. I was like, oh, the nose is too small and everything's off. But then like as I slowly built up the image and added the hair especially is when it kind of started to come together. Again, it's not like a perfect portrait because I'm not able to pick up my pencil, so I can't even see half the image because my hand is over it half the time. So again, it's a very like experimental portraiture, and I think that there's always a place for this kind of artwork in art in general. So for being a 30-minute one-line art challenge, I actually like it a lot. If you guys enjoyed this challenge, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment down below, let me know what you guys want to see next on my channel. Also turn on post notifications because I think a lot of people don't have them turned on, but you'll get notified when I upload a video and when I start streaming, which is something new. And don't forget to subscribe for more awesome art videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!